Hey Star Wars fans, this is John of Video Games in the World. So, Kathleen Kennedy has been an interesting character in the world of Star Wars for a while now. She's the one running Lucasfilm, and she was the one running things with Episode 8 and Episode 9, which arrives in 29 days from now. And now she says that making a Star Wars movie is difficult because they have no source materials and they don't have comic books. Really? During an interview with Rolling Stone magazine, Kennedy had said the following: "Every one of these movies is particularly a hard nut to crack. There's no source material, we don't have comic books, we don't have 800-page novels, we don't have anything other than passionate storytellers who get together and talk about what the next iteration might be." Boy, am I going to get a lot of heat for this. I'm terribly sorry, Mrs. Kennedy, but you're wrong about this. The CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, had to say the following: "At some point in the process, George told me that he had completed outlines for 3 new movies. He agreed to send us 3 copies of the outlines, one for me, one for Alan Braverman, and one for Alan Horn, who'd just been hired to run our studio. Alan Horn and I read George's outlines and decided we need to buy them, though we made clear in the purchase agreement that we would not be contractually obligated to adhere to the plot lines he's laid out." Well, here's what I'm going to have to say about this whole thing of what Kathleen Kennedy said, that they don't have any comic books or other sources of material, because she's wrong. Before the Disney era, there were Star Wars comic books made by Marvel and Dark Horse Comics. An interesting fact is that there was a Star Wars Marvel comic titled The Last Jedi, released in April of 1981. There were different stories that took place after Return of the Jedi. Stories like the Yuuzhan Vong War, for example, Luke marrying a fellow Jedi warrior, Mara Jade, formerly on the dark side, and having kids with her. Han and Leia getting married and not having 1, but 3 children. Han and Leia's children were twin brother and sister Jacen and Jaina Solo, and their youngest child was Anakin Solo. All 3 trained as Jedi under Luke, and unfortunately, Jacen Solo ended up in the dark side. Now, watching The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi made me realize that Kylo Ren and Rey are rehashes of Jacen and Jaina in a certain way. In terms of the novels, there were very successful novels such as Shadows of the Empire by Steve Perry, an author, not a singer, the Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn. The character of Thrawn was introduced in the cartoon series Star Wars Rebels, which takes place after Order 66, that occurred in Revenge of the Sith. Shadows of the Empire bridges the gap between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, where Luke constructs a new lightsaber while training with Yoda, and the main character is a mercenary called Dash Rendar. And the novel was adapted into a video game in 1996 for PC and the Nintendo 64, which I remember playing when I was 11 years old back in the summer of 97. Ah, memories. A ship known as a Hammerhead cruiser, first introduced in Knights of the Old Republic, was seen in Rogue One. Rogue One is a movie that I had totally enjoyed so much. There were video games that would take place before Episode 4, such as Dark Forces. If you think about it, Rogue One's Jyn Erso is like a rehash of Kyle Katarn in a certain way. Others might say that Cassian Andor, played by Diego Luna, is more of a rehash of Kyle Katarn in a way. I think Jyn is more the rehash because, like Kyle, she got the Death Star plans and delivered it to the Rebel Alliance. Remember also The Force Unleashed? Those were damn good games. The 2 games will bridge the gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Unfortunately, with Disney purchasing Star Wars and decanonizing the expanded universe, a 3rd Force Unleashed game would never see the light of day. Ay, Dios mío. nor would Star Wars 1313, or the one where Darth Maul was the main character and you played as him. Damn it, Disney. Rogue Squadron, which was released in 1998, bridged the gap between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. However, the final mission in the game, which was the Battle of Mon Calamari against remnants of the Empire, took place 6 years after Return of the Jedi. I've read pre-Disney era Star Wars comics and I thought that they were damn good, in my honest opinion. Now, some of the graphic novels made by Disney, such as Princess Leia, the Poe Dameron stories, Captain Phasma, and Shattered Empire were pretty well made. The graphic novel of Rogue One was awesome because I got to learn more about Cassian Andor, K2SO, Chirrut Imwe, I am the Force and the Force is with me, and Bazay as well. So, what do you think about Mrs. Kennedy's opinions? Well, comment, rate, subscribe, and go for it. This is John, host of Video Games in the World. Have a good one, and may the Force be with you, Star Wars fans. And I'll see you in 29 days for the review of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of the Skywalker.